All right, number 10, Donovan Mitchell, who I love to watch. I like his attitude. So I think a lot of these are going to be attitude and story and narrative are a large reason for why I like watching them. But what came first? Do I like watching the player play? And then I grew to be attached to them because I liked their style of play. I don't know. I will tell you, Donovan Mitchell I have a soft spot for because the first time I saw him was in the movie High Flying Bird. Because I wasn't a huge NBA fan at the time. I was an NFL guy. And it made me really like Donovan Mitchell. He's family and community are very important to him. He says he chooses his team based on who feels like a family. He said that about being at Louisville, and he said that about being in Utah. So I like the guy. And he's good. I liked the beef. Also, he had beef with Ben Simmons. I liked that because I never, I feel like no one, did anyone ever really, well, I think some people were Ben Simmons fans, weren't they? Somebody had to be. But I liked the, Donovan Mitchell was going to be Rookie of the Year, but Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year, even though he was a draft pick from the previous year. So that boded well for him. Also, remember when Shaq said, yeah, I didn't think you were really good, because it was after a post-game interview. Shaq's interviewing him, the boys in the booth. It was a TNT game. And he said, yeah, I didn't think you were going to be very good. I think you didn't have the stuff. But, yeah, I thought that. And then Donovan Mitchell says, all right. And then the Utah Jazz branded that everywhere. They put "I" all over the place, which was smart because it was pretty awesome. He didn't have a rebuttal or anything. But why do I like watching him? Why do I like watching Donovan Mitchell? He is good at iso balling, which is something that people criticize a lot. They say it's not good basketball, but it is fun to watch. And a lot of times if there are mismatches between him and another guy, for some reason, sometimes he just ends up on a guy that's not a particularly great defender or doesn't have a lot of size. Dude, it's over. That guy's, it's not gonna look good for the guy defending him. And I love watching that. I like watching guys sort of get their ego bruised, and Donovan Mitchell does that a lot. And he's not the flashiest rim finisher, but he is close. The flashiest rim finisher is coming up. I'm a sucker for a good rim finisher. Great stop and start, mid-range guy. As these guys get old, I've noticed when I've gone back through the highlights, Donovan Mitchell is not the player. He's evolved. I'm not saying he's worse, but he's evolved. And he has developed that stop and start, mid-range, and finishing through stop and start, not just driving to the basket and doing a crazy layup. Sort of what Jalen Brunson has mastered in a way, which is taking your time, controlling the ball. I do miss the old Donovan Mitchell. Also, I don't think he's 6'3". I think he's shorter. He's an incredible dunker, and you sleep on it because he looks so short. And you can tell a lot of guys don't think he's going to dunk it. It's sort of like Ja Morant as well, who we might be getting to later. But, man, he can jump. I don't think he's quite 6'3". If you look at him compared to the other guys out on the court, I think that can't be right. He does a lot of deep threes, though. I'm not crazy about deep threes. I'm not wild about deep threes. I think they're a little bit showboaty, especially early in the shot clock. It's like, why do... People love it. People lose their minds. Someone shoots a deep three, the crowd goes wild, the commentators go wild, they get really excited. But in my head, I think there was probably a better option. But Mitchell does do a lot of deep threes early in the clock, and I don't like them. But it seems like every guy that's going to be on this list, as I was watching highlights of them and I was sort of remembering what their game looks like, a lot of them do deep threes. It's a showboaty thing to do. It never serves your team. He got, do you guys know this? His career high, 71 points, same night as DeMar Hamlin's heart-stopping. I remember that because I was in Vegas watching at the Cosmo at the Sportsbook. Both were on at the same time. It was interesting because it was such a low moment for the NFL, such a high moment for the NBA. But DeMar's doing all right. So, just a good moment for Donovan Mitchell. I think Tyrese Maxey, I love him as a person. I like him. I want to hang out with him. Part of me wonders, okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is he didn't get extended last year so they could have enough cap space to sign Paul George. And I've talked about this before. Everyone knows this. But I want to tell you, most NBA players would have thrown a fit. They would have been mad. And I don't know, maybe Maxey was actually upset about this, but you never heard anything. But if any other player wouldn't have got extended and would have had to sign when they became a restricted free agent the following summer, dude, they would have made a stink. They would have been so mad. You know they would have been mad. I mean, it happened to DeAndre Ayton, happens to a lot of guys. It's happened to a lot of the guys this summer now that finally got their extensions. But Maxey never put up a fuss. And how upset would you be? Embiid hasn't played at all. Embiid was trash in the playoffs, and you're carrying this team. Now you signed a guy who's making, Paul George, who's making more money than you, and you're going to be with him, assumed, for the next 4 or 5 years. And you're the only one out on the court, but you're still just doing it. He's an offense unto himself. He is carrying this team right now. The wins that they do have are coming from Tyrese Maxey. He doesn't even necessarily have to pass the ball. He is the Philadelphia 76ers right now. I think Embiid and Paul George he just gets out and does it. And I like that, especially on a team with guys that are sort of maybe not. They just might not participate. I'd be so frustrated if I was a Sixers fan. Thank God you have Tyrese Maxey, a guy that really wants to play and be out there. Man, I really do. And I like his attitude. He's a very grateful person. Sometimes I have a hard time, being grateful for what I have. And he's a confident shooter. He wants the ball at the end of the games. I don't know why I put him at 9. He probably should be higher just because of my feelings I have about him. So, man, he really took over Game 5 last year. Remember that? Tied the game when against the Knicks. Went into overtime and they won. That was incredible. He just got the ball and he did it. He handled it. He got fouled on a three-pointer. I loved that game. That was so good. And I don't think there's any fear in this guy. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. So I watch a lot of Sixers games. I also like the Sixers broadcasters. I think they're annoying and they're total homers, but they're really good. So, and the defense is looking better for Tyrese Maxey. The energy he has on offense, you're seeing it sort of applied to the defense as well. Exciting player, and I love him. I think he's so great. I think he's awesome. Okay, I like Haliburton as well. I like Haliburton's swag. I have to say, he talks a lot. And I think that's important. I think we're in a time in the league where guys are too chummy, and I'm not saying that they should be at each other's throats, throwing fists at each other. I'm just saying there definitely feels like we're at a time where there isn't as much passion. I've been watching the World Series. I just finished. Today is Thursday. I'm recording on Thursday, on Halloween. So I've been watching the World Series. It just ended, and baseball players care more about the game than NBA players. Maybe you disagree with that, but I want to watch it. I think, yeah, these guys, there's more here. They want to win more. It's not even close. So when I see Tyrese Haliburton getting out there and being competitive and yelling at the other team, yelling at fans, I think it's cool. I like that he celebrates with his team. Then I also just like his game. I think he zhuzhes up some of his passes, which I think are cool. He kind of turns them into a dance. Definitely unnecessary, but it's fun to watch. He does the head turn when he passes. Sort of, I think Spencer Dinwiddie clowned Kyle Kuzma for doing that, passing the ball and then turning your head, which Haliburton does, but it looks cool. It's not really a no-look pass because you're passing and then you're looking away, but I like it. I think teams are figuring out he does jump every time he passes. I think podcasters and media people have brought it up that he always jumps when he passes and it gives him a little bit more time to get it off. I saw Drew Holiday steal the ball from him the other day. I think he had a rough game against the Celtics. I believe that was last night. Can't remember. But he is a turnstile on defense. Again, these are my favorite players to watch. So defense who I guess I enjoy some defense, but he is an absolute it's not even in his brain. Trey Young is a better defender than Tyrese Haliburton. So he passes a lot, but when he does get confident, he just starts chucking that ball. And he has a weird, strange three-point shot. But it goes in. So 39% from three for his career. It's right here on the screen. Exciting guy, exciting player. I think I would put Maxey above him, though. I don't know why he's at 8. I've changed my mind. Whatever. Steph Curry is still one of my favorite players to watch. Just an incredible point guard, incredible passer, the fastest release in the NBA. There's no one that shoots a three-point shot better than Steph Curry. Because here's the thing, you even look at percentages, you're like, oh, this guy can shoot better percentages than Steph Curry. But if you look at the actual volume of how much he's shooting, there's no one that can play like him. I think you can say, oh, there's other versions of other players in the NBA. Or, oh, this guy looks like this guy. This guy looks like this guy. This guy looks like a guy from the 80s. No one looks like Steph Curry. How fast his release is just truly something else. And how much he wants the ball at the end of games. And the celebrations are great. The sleeve, the shimmy, he gets into it. And I think there's an element of get into it. He's not mean to anyone. He doesn't. Of course, remember when he was yelling at the Sacramento Kings during their playoff series? This wasn't last playoffs, but this playoffs before, when he was saying they can't finish because the Kings were up. Be mean in a compartmentalized sense where you can talk your shit, but then let it go. Be like, it was in the game, talk your shit during the game, but not after. And I think Steph does a good job at that. I also like that he said he's the best point guard of all time. To have the confidence and not the dumb, self-effacing, like, oh, I don't know, there's a lot of good. He's like, yeah, if you're asking me, I think he was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast. He's like, if you're asking me, yeah, I think I'm the best point guard of all time. You mean between me and Magic? Yeah, I would say it's me. Yeah, you can believe that. And that doesn't make you arrogant, doesn't make you, doesn't make you anything. It just makes you say, then I think that I'm the best. That's pretty cool. Sometimes he'll dribble extra to make a player lose his balance. I've noticed that. He'll just, if he has a guy, he's already beat him, he'll cut back the other way just to see if he can make him fall down. Have you seen that? Have you seen him do that? Where it's like, all right, he already beat him. He already has his lane. He has his move. But you can tell sometimes he'll just cut it right back just to see if he can get the guy to fall down. Pretty cool. It's fun. You got to make basketball fun for us to watch. It's important. And he moves a lot. He plays like he's playing for his job. He plays like he just got in for the first time and he's trying to make a name for himself, even though he's a top 10 player of all time. That's why I like Steph Curry. LeBron didn't make this list. I'm going to tell you right now. I almost put on the list, but he just didn't make it. It wasn't a conscious choice. It just had other guys that I like more. LaMelo Ball is awesome. Doesn't play a lot, but I had to put him on this list because sometimes I'll just sit around and watch LaMelo Ball highlights. Because he wants to be your favorite player, I think. The way he plays the game, how flashy he is the most pragmatic, fancy passes. He will actually do a no-look behind the back pass, and you think about it and you're like, yeah, that was the best pass to make. It really threw the defense off, the fact that it came from behind your back and you weren't looking the direction the ball went. It really fools people. The between the leg. Also, him and I'm not a Miles Bridges fan, but their connection, that's a good team. If they could really figure it all out, Miles Bridges is a good player. LaMelo is great, and I'm a sucker for a lob pass. Pretty incredible. So, yeah, the baseball passes and the sling passes. So his baseball passes from the backcourt are pretty incredible. He can huck it the full court. Also, the sling. Have you guys noticed this? Some players will do it. It's mostly LaMelo Ball, but they'll actually, instead of doing a chest pass or something, they'll kind of heave it like that. They'll do a sling like that, and you think, well, it looks fancy maybe, or sling it and they'll spin. You think, you really got to do this the most? You really got to do the most with that? Just pass the ball. But then I've realized when you sling it like that, it gets a level of speed you're never going to get with a chest pass or any other type of pass. So and he's tall. He rebounds too. He rebounds great in transition. I'd really like to see a full healthy season from LaMelo Ball this year. And of course, all these guys do step backs. Everyone, you watch highlights of these guys. Most of them are just sort of like step back 3-pointers, which, not saying they're not impressive. Just see them a lot is all, Trey Young, again, Trey Young's my man. If it were just going by the actual excitement of watching a player play, it would be Trey Young, and it wouldn't even be close. But the thing is, I don't really care about Trey Young's career because I don't think he's going to be an all-time great. I don't think he's ever going to make the finals. He's definitely not going to make the finals on the Hawks, is my opinion. So I'm not particularly interested in his career, and maybe that's why I don't really put him at the top. But nobody's nutmegging. I can't think of another player. Maybe LaMelo did. LaMelo, it feels like there's a rivalry between LaMelo and Trey sort of bubbling up. It feels like they both sort of want to be the flashiest player in the league. They just played each other. Their season opener, I think, was against each other. Trey had 38 and LaMelo had 34. Both had great games, very flashy games, a lot of deep threes. Man, do I hate them. I really don't like them. Also, the Hawks don't really feel like they vibe. I got a feeling Trey's a rough hang. I don't know, but I got a feeling he's a rough hang. But some of the stuff he does out on the court, and he's not tall. That's the thing. He is not. I think he talked about it. He said, I'd be the best player of all time if I was 6'7". I forget what he said exactly. He isn't tall, but I'll give it to him. There is something to be said for that fact. The fact that he isn't very tall, and he is exceptional regardless. Best floater, better than James Harden. I think he learned his floater from James Harden, and it's better than James Harden's floater, I have to say. So, smoothest player in the league. He's like a figure skater out there. All right, this is just the glaze fest. He's not a winner, but I love watching him play. I think that's really what I got. Oh, he's on the next page. He sees the future. Yeah, I already talked about the deep threes. Let's talk about Ja Morant. It's been a while, but I've been watching Memphis games, and I watched. Who did I watch them play against? I don't know. I forget. But he's fast and he's slippery. He's the slipperiest player. He gets down the court quickly and he gets past people. Nikola Jokic pretty slippery too, though. He's skinny. He's so thin. He is jacked. He's very muscular. I was watching a TikTok of him working out. He has a lot of muscle. Like, he has big shoulders, but his frame, maybe he can put on more muscle, but he has like very small bones, and there's just like tons of muscle packed on these bones. But he is skinny. He is such a skinny body, but he plays incredibly physically. Plays physical. That's how we talk. We say he plays really physical. We don't say he plays really physically, do we? Which I believe the correct thing to say is he plays very physically. But he uses his stomach, he uses his body. He dunks way too hard sometimes, where I think he throws the ball. He'll miss dunks because he wants to jam it so hard, which is also kind of fun. So it's a positive and a negative. And then I thought about it, and I realized he has to jump really high, and he has to dunk over people, and he's moving really fast. So I thought about it, and I realized he has to. He has to dunk it really hard because he needs all that momentum from his speed. So maybe I'm going to let him off the hook. Very creative player. Can finish through contact for a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of muscle on a lot of muscle for his frame, but he does not have a whole lot of muscle on his body. He doesn't have a whole lot of body, and he plays really physically. And I'm excited for the redemption season for my man Ja Morant. It's nice not being a fan of any particular team. You can just sort of enjoy the show. Kyrie does not do the same stuff he used to do, but I still enjoy watching him play. He's still on this list because he still has it, and he has adapted his game a bit. He plays a lot slower. He's really great at putting guys in jail. Definitely is shooting a lot more threes. Definitely is shooting a lot more jumpers. Still, though, one of the best at changing speeds in the NBA. Not only changing speeds of himself, but dribbling. I mean, back when he was on the Cavs, I remember he would dribble so fast that it felt like a video game. Like, he'd stay still, but he'd dribble so fast he would phase the other player just because visually you don't know what direction he's going or the ball's going. It looked like a video game cheat code, and no one else can do that. It feels to me that even Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, Sham God, all these guys sort of, no one defends themselves as the best dribbler in the league. They just acquiesce to Kyrie Irving because it's not. And I would also say he's the best rim finisher in the league. Is he still? Probably. What do you think? I would still give it to Kyrie Irving as the best rim finisher in the league. And also another guy that can finish through contact and isn't very large. So, excellent body control. Yeah. What do I got? And I actually think Brooklyn was the problem. The Nets organization was the problem. Isn't that crazy? I was such a hater. I was such a Kyrie hater. But now, I mean, we're coming up on 2 full seasons of Kyrie Irving as a Dallas Maverick, and there hasn't been any drama or anything. I really was, critical of his motivations and intentions, and I was wrong, baby. This guy just wants to play ball. So, it's exciting to see. We're getting really great seasons from Kyrie Irving, staying healthy for the most part, and not causing a lot of drama. Turns out he just didn't want to get... Man's got principles. And I just because of the circus trick shots, for the most part, I think he has the best highlight reel of wild shots that go in. And he's not afraid to shoot them. He'll put them up. This guy does not care about his shooting percentages. He doesn't have the greatest shooting percentages for his career. 34% from 3 is okay. 74% from free throw line, it's okay. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the field goal percentages too. They're not awesome, but he will put up anything. He's not afraid of getting thrown a grenade. And they go in a lot. And they go in. I think he's one of the more creative players in the league as well. He embarrasses people. When he puts players in isolation, he just figures out a way to get past them. And it's fun. I think he's the most passionate player on the court. Gets a lot of technical fouls, but I think he loves the game the most. I think when he's out there, I think he's probably the coolest guy you'll ever meet. Remember when Michael Finley took his beer when they won the Western Conference Finals? He took his beer when he was hanging out with his dad. And he's just, oh, okay. He seems humble, dare I say, but when he's on the court, I think he's fully in the flow state, in the zone. Really putting on a show out there. He can initiate contact, then shoot an undisturbed shot. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed he'll actually initiate contact, get the foul call, and then shoot an entirely undisturbed shot to get the and one? A lot of these guys that I'm talking about sort of you can tell they have a second nature of thinking in basketball, that interesting ideas and creative ways to get off shots that comes naturally, that they don't even have to think about. And that's why I like them so much. So, do I have anything else? He pushes off on the step backs. All these guys do step backs. He pushes off so hard. He'll just shove people with their shoulder to get some space. Hey, if the refs don't call it, the refs don't call it. So, okay. My favorite player to watch is Nikola Jokic. I used to be a big... I followed LeBron's career, so I would always watch any game with LeBron in it. I liked the Cavs, I liked the Lakers, I liked the Heat. I was just into it. I was very interested in this guy's career, kind of see what he was going to do. I've lost interest a bit. I don't really watch as many Lakers games, but I will always watch Nuggets games because I'm fascinated by this man. This second-round pick, this guy from Serbia who didn't even play the first year he was drafted. And what he's become. Is he going to be a 4-time... Is he going to have as many MVPs as LeBron James? This sort of understated, slow-moving, white guy from Serbia who no one made us think about. I love the story. I love LeBron's story and I love Nikola Jokic's story. So I'm so fascinated by the story, and I'm so fascinated that this guy is so successful with his style of play that I didn't think you could actually thrive doing, because it's so incredibly slow. It's slow, but it makes you realize the importance of intuition and reflexes as well, because he'll turn, face the defense, and hold the ball above his head, and the defense can't get to it just because of how quickly he can move the ball and how fast he's already thinking. So it's sort of proof that there's the athleticism. If you don't think of athleticism as hand-eye coordination, you think of it just as strength, speed, and agility, he isn't athletic. But if you think of athleticism as more hand-eye coordination, he's the most athletic player in the NBA. He just has an entirely different way of scoring and being successful, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I'm especially enjoying him watching them this season and because the Nuggets aren't great. And at the end of the games, I mean, they've just done 2 games. I'm recording on Thursday, remember? So I've just watched go into overtime against the Nets and the Raptors. And during those overtimes and during the end of the games, they just gave it to him, and he did everything. And the confidence to just say, I'm going to back down Nick Claxton, and I'm just going to score. I'm just going to score on this guy because he can't do anything. He is not on my level. He didn't say that, but the way he plays is just like, I'm going to erase this guy. It's really cool. And I'm here for it. I'm here for the story. He elbows a lot. You see his arms are all messed up, so you think, oh, poor baby, he's getting fouled all the time. He elbows all the time. Guys get frustrated because he uses his arms constantly. And he hooks them and he pushes off. Watch. I'm a fan, but watch him. He fouls all the time, and he has to be very frustrating to play against. What do I got? Oh, I don't have any personal notes. I already, said enough. So I guess I'm a Nuggets fan this year. I guess that's what's up. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for letting me do a little more personal video because I'm out of town this week and I didn't have as much time to do research. So be good. Like the video if you can. Be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog.